I want to talk to you about loneliness, and it seems to be an epidemic now that's affecting everyone. So loneliness isn't the same thing as being alone. Have you ever noticed that, if you're really happy and you feel really good, you don't feel lonely when you're alone. You might be busy doing things that you love. You might just be able to soak up the sun rays. There are times in your life that you may have experienced being on your own but not feeling lonely, and conversely being with others and feeling lonely. So it's not about how many people are in the room. It's something else. It's about not being our authentic selves. And this is something that's causing so much pain, and it's leading to physical problems as well for people, this emotional pain that we're going through in our society. It used to be something that we didn't expect, and now something seems to have happened in this culture where it seems like everybody is really lonely and really disconnected. And it's certainly something that's been big in my life, so I want to share with you a little bit. And I also want to talk about how to start healing from it, how you can release it and move towards real experiences of connection and joy. So, a lot of us feel confused by what's happening because the natural response is we go, oh, well, I feel lonely, so I need to go and be with people. So we go and be with people and we feel more lonely or more alone or more disconnected. So many people tell me that even when they're with others, with their loved ones, with their friends, they feel completely isolated internally. What happens when we are disconnected from our authentic self, our real inner being, is that we start to feel shame. The judgment that we apply to ourselves gets harsher and harsher. That inner critic that you might be familiar with. Just in case you're wondering, that guy in your head? He's in my head too. Or she. There's someone up there who's kind of really mean to me. Have you got one? I think we all have one that comes out sometimes. It's an internalized adult that we developed when we were very young. That self-criticism. It's like a hard taskmaster. For me, it always expressed as trying to make me work harder. Do more, be better, achieve more, focus on what other people need. Never a moment to speak up for my needs from when I was very young. This is a pattern that a lot of people have and that we develop as a survival strategy. And it means that our nervous system is always in fight or flight. We're always in a state of high alert. It's a survival response to develop patterns of behavior or a personality that's trying to be good. So I was really working hard at school, trying to be good with my homework, be really good around the house. There are photos of me standing on a little stool doing the washing up when I was really tiny. And, there's a lot of evidence showing this kind of, I've got to please the adults. And that is a pattern of behavior that is to try and stay safe. If you don't have safety when you're very young, you will automatically try to do things to make sure you're going to be safe. It's not necessarily because the parents are bad parents in any way. Parents are really often incredibly busy. They are being driven by this culture as well. They're working too hard. They're desperately trying to keep a roof above our heads. they're doing the best they can in a society that doesn't support a way of living that's really good for humans. So they're rushing around. So sometimes it can be that the children are being completely ignored. And that's not what children need to feel safe. So we develop patterns to look after ourselves. And those very patterns are what then make us lonely when we become adults. And those patterns aren't our true nature. So my true nature, when I was 4 or 6 or 8 years old, wasn't to be like, oh, what I really want is to be washing up dishes. Of course it wasn't. There were a lot of things that my truth would have preferred, but there wasn't space for that. So I develop a personality that takes me away from my authentic self. And when I try to then do actions that are in alignment with my truth, shame comes up. So the shame of putting my own needs first, the shame of having desires, the shame or fear of being cast out of the dynamic that kept me safe my whole life, that creates a sort of unbearable tension where we need to be our authentic selves and it doesn't feel safe to do so. For me, it drove me into a workaholic life, a life of non-stop activity and pushing myself, a life of trying to please other people, a life of not really knowing who I was. So incessant loneliness, even while I was so busy trying to achieve everything, the whole world, busy trying to please others and make the world a better place, and being completely out of touch with who I was. So coming out of loneliness, it's about coming into authenticity. Coming out of isolation doesn't mean moving towards other people as the first step. It means moving towards ourselves as the first step. For me, it took years of being bedbound and stuck in a room on my own in the dark to start to understand this, to start to feel it through, to start to heal that inner turmoil, that inner emotional pain. But I believe it is systemic. I believe it is what this society and culture is pushing us more and more into, even with social media, online cultures. The concept of community as an online thing is so against what humans need. We need real connection. We need touch. We need real presence with ourselves and with others. We distract ourselves compulsively. So for me, I did that through working non-stop, through trying to achieve more and more. You may be someone who has been doing that as well and is totally encouraged by our culture, by any kind of fast-paced society. We're encouraged to be high achievers, to go after success in terms of wealth or status or all the things we can own. And so nobody ever criticizes us. Nobody ever said to me, oh, you're working too hard. Or, I mean, I'm laughing about it because it seems like a funny idea. Who would have said, oh, you're working too hard. I want you to rest and relax more and I want you to chill. I don't think anyone ever said that to me in my whole life. I mean, I worked hard from a kid. I was a real high achiever on homework. I had a job. I got a Saturday job when I was 12. I looked older. But in my house, we didn't have money. So very young, it was get a job. And so there was hardly much time for me to not be achieving or to not be doing extra things to make it okay to have what other kids have. And by the time you're at university or you're working, it's natural for you to be doing maybe your studies by day, you've got 1 or 2 jobs to help pay your way, or you maybe have a career but you do another job on the side to earn extra money, because this push, this culture that it puts so many people in a position where survival means overdoing it. And nobody is saying to us, slow down and feel your emotions. Slow down and connect to your loneliness or heartbreak or whatever's been happening for you. Slow down and feel it through so you can release it. And then you'll be able to live in a more wholehearted way. Nobody's saying that, or they certainly weren't in my life when I was a child, a teenager, someone in their 20s and 30s and 40s. Nobody was saying this. And it's important that we notice it for ourselves, I think, and it's important that we share it with our children and that they're going to share it with their children, so that it becomes a way of life, so that the future generations won't have to have all of their emotions suppressed. They won't have to carry it in their nervous system, their brain, their body, that then eventually, if they're anything like me, or if you're anything like me, for me it started to express as physical pain, physical symptoms, and for me it became so chronic that I became bedbound for years. So I was lonely, and I kept working so hard, and I tried so hard to find connection, like outside of myself. Like, we kind of put the attention outside. We looked to others for connection. And that drove me into a state where I had so much suppressed that, it led to total collapse and even more intensified loneliness. So the very thing I was seeking, I sought it so hard, and it's like I was looking for love in all the wrong places. That's the cliche, right? The cliche, you're looking for love in all the wrong places. Of course, the cliche comes about because it's said so much. We hear it so much. But that might be because it's based on something true, right? For me, it was true. I was looking for love outside of myself in order to heal the pain inside. The pain of aloneness, the pain of not feeling seen and heard. So I was single and I lived alone when I became so sick. Then there was no contact and really no one to talk to, and nobody understood ME, myalgic encephalitis, or CFS. The doctors don't understand that condition. So then the feeling of being unseen and not understood was increased like 100-fold. So the loneliness was extreme, and I did something, and I share this with people now, and it might sound silly or childish, but I'll share it with you. I bought myself a teddy bear, and I chose one from Amazon. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't even walk to the bathroom, so I ordered one, and it was delivered to where I lived. I was in London then, in an apartment, and this teddy bear was like a floppy IKEA style big teddy bear. I think it was actually meant to be a door stopper. I used to love these IKEA ones that they're just these huge cuddly toys, but they're meant to block out the draft. Not a door stopper, a draft stopper that you would put on the foot of the door to keep out the cold. But they're just big. It's like a big cuddly thing you can wrap around you. So I got one of those, and it made such a difference. It helped me feel less alone and less lonely, and it helped me feel kind of loved in a way. Loneliness is not something that's a lot in my experience anymore. I'm someone who feels very blessed because I fully recovered from being bedbound, and it seemed like that would be the end of my life, and I got another chance to live. So I'm incredibly grateful. But I still spend a lot of time alone, and I still experience loneliness on occasions. And I have to remember over and over again, it's not just about, I'm lonely, I must be missing other people. That's not it at all. It's, I'm feeling disconnected from myself, or I'm not being authentic, I'm not speaking my truth. The healing journey never really ends. You can recover from all your physical symptoms and any pains and problems you have. But there's still more emotional layers that will come. There's still more joy to experience, so that indicates more growing. I can grow into more and more good things. If this video found you today, I hope you feel a little less lonely through being here with me. We're human beings and we are wired for connection. So it's really natural to have pain when we don't feel connected. And I wish you the joy of a healing journey like mine that allows you to end up on a rooftop in Spain near the beach with birds making lots of noise above the traffic. And so if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling shame, if you're feeling negative emotions around anything to do with yourself, I invite you to use one of the practices that I share on this channel to support yourself today. Use one of the somatic healing practices to release emotions gently. Use one of the somatic hug practices, or use one of the meditations which is designed to rewire your mind directly and confront and change and transform your thinking, your behavior patterns, your survival patterns. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching.